Will the SEC produce an undefeated team this year? That is a fantastic question to ask because realistically, I don't think it's going to happen, folks. As we look at these schedules, and this video is going to be the top 8 conference games for the SEC. Each conference is going to get their own tier list. In this video, we're just starting out with the SEC. I'd rather get all my shots up with the SEC first. And with that being said, as we scanned over all these games and really looked at the key marquee matchups, right? The non-conference is ridiculous too, by the way. That's getting its own video in of itself. But the top 8 right here are, I think these are going to be the playoff defining, the SEC title defining games that you're going to end up finding as well. Listen, I drew a line in the sand with 8. Just want to make that very clear. There's some key rivalries that are just off the list, like the Egg Bowl, like the Iron Bowl. Listen, if you want to push back in the comments, feel free to do so. And speaking of which, by the way, couple things, a little laundry list, a little admin. Let me hit a little quick ISO right here, come off the screen, run out some clock. First thing I want to say, if you're a returning subscriber or just a returning viewer, welcome back. Thank you for taking the time to watch not only just one video, but multiple. And then if this is all new to you, this whole outlook, this video, I popped up on your browse feature or something like that. Thank you for taking the time to click on this video and give it a test run for the Rush the Field experience. If you feel generous, leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment. I love talking to you guys in the comment section. I respond to every single comment I possibly can. So thank you so much for taking the time. And if you want to know each and every single one of my thoughts on each SEC team, right now there's a tier list. So it can kind of give you a baseline of how I feel about each and every single one of these teams and the matchups that we're about to talk about. But let's go ahead and dive into this list. At number 8, we have Tennessee going into Oklahoma for September 21st. I hope this is a night game. I think the last time they played each other was Baker Mayfield, the quarterback for Oklahoma. I mean, just to give you an idea, you'll see it on your screen right now if that's the case. I'm so excited for this game. I think this is going to be a defensive game. A lot of the focus is going to be on the quarterbacks, but realistically, both sides of the ball, like the marquee, not to give like a quick preview, because when we get to this game, it's going to get its own video, but like, can Oklahoma's offensive line hold up against what Tennessee is going to bring to the table on that defense? And I'm really concerned about that. But they get to play Tennessee at home, which is just a key factor in this. And it's early into the year, so they're going to be about as fresh as they're going to get before Oklahoma really takes on one of the most difficult schedules in the country. Trust me, Sooners fans made that very clear. I mean, let's just talk about the impact of both sides of the ball here. Like, we're looking at Oklahoma. If they're able to win this game, they feel pretty confident about having to face Texas again in that Red River game. And then for Tennessee, they have some marquee games like Georgia, like Alabama. If they're able to get through this first test, nothing short of the highest ceiling for Tennessee should be the expectation. And speaking of Tennessee, at number 7, I think the 7th best game in the SEC this upcoming year for the conference is going to be Tennessee and Alabama. This year, it's in Knoxville. If you remember what happened last time, here's a quick little reminder of what happens when Alabama has to play Tennessee at Knoxville. Now, let me make it very clear. Alabama had a very long win streak against the Volunteers, but it's just one of those classic moments that I love showing every single time. And I'm sure Alabama fans have not forgotten about it. It was a classic. Now, this is the big test for Nico and Jalen Milroe. Has Milroe taken the next step? Everyone knows this. It's the 3rd Saturday in October. Nothing's going to move away from that. You know exactly when this game is going to happen. And Milroe is going to be tested against a very good Tennessee defense. And so is Nico. And I think the big quarterback battle that we're looking for is in this game. And I'm just so excited for it. Like, I don't really have to over-explain myself here. This is going to be one of the best games this year. And I think, honestly, whoever wins this game really solidifies themselves as that, like, 3rd SEC title contender type of team right there with, like, Missouri, LSU. But I think they take the first major step into potentially overtaking like Texas and Georgia for that SEC title spot. But let's not forget about Ole Miss. and Ole Miss has to go into Death Valley against LSU. Oh my gracious, are you kidding me? And it's early into October. Like, Ole Miss has a pretty solid schedule for them to potentially make a run. They have two major games. The other one we will talk about here in a minute, but this is one of the big ones. If you are able to go into LSU's house and win that game, man, that lets them be able to lose a game down the line. And one I think they end up losing. Would this not throw Jackson Dart into that Heisman conversation as potentially a favorite if he's able to beat LSU? And also, on top of that, has LSU's defense made enough steps to handle an offense like Ole Miss? I get it. Quinshaw Judkins is not there anymore, but there's so many weapons on this Ole Miss team. Has that secondary evolved enough? Has Jackson Dart grown as a passer to be able to take advantage of a weak LSU secondary, or have they made enough adjustments to potentially win this game? And also, could this potentially be the Garrett Nussmeier breakout game, the Nuss bus? Like, has this been able to be the game for him to step up and potentially take advantage of an Ole Miss defense that we're also expecting to potentially make some steps? I am so excited for this game as well. And at number 5, like, I don't need to undersell it. It's the Red River game in the SEC for Texas. Can they make a revenge game of Oklahoma? Oklahoma is going to be battered and bruised all season. They are playing some difficult games, and we'll really know how much improvement have they made. And realistically, once again, I got to mention Oklahoma's offensive line versus Texas defensive line. Texas loses a lot of pieces on that defensive line. So did they make enough steps forward? And has Oklahoma's offensive line make enough steps forward? Quinn Ewers, his last game as the quarterback going against Oklahoma, what's going to be his final stamp on this rivalry for years to come? Like, people talk about this game in incredible lore, aura, like whatever you want to call it. This is going to be one of the best games in the SEC. And this was one of the marquee games that they got whenever Texas and Oklahoma hopped into this conference. But let's round into the top 4 with Georgia at Ole Miss. Man, this is November 9th. This is late into the year. This has SEC title implications written all over it. Georgia's schedule is going to be littered with just incredible games and tests for Kirby Smart and Carson Beck to handle away environments. I mean, truly, this is going to be able to see, is Carson Beck that guy? Can he handle away environments? Because let's be real, they had cupcake of the year type of schedule last season, and it's completely flipped on its head this year. And can the hottie toddies pull this one off? Like, I'm telling you, Oxford is going to be flipped on its head for this game. Game day better be there. We're talking November 9th, guys. That, like, decisions are being made off of this game. And with how Ole Miss's schedule is set up, this is where you circle it. This is their biggest game of the year. And it's part of the reason why I feel like we'll get into it, but like Georgia, I don't think there's a way for them to be undefeated this year. No chance. Because speaking of which, they have to go play Texas in Austin October 19th. Are you kidding me? This is the game for Texas to potentially cement themselves as a title favorite for the SEC, because right now they're title contenders. No one's doubting that, but the favorite, the one and only. I am so excited for this game. Like, this is number 3 for a reason. We are talking a potential SEC title game happening in the regular season and potentially a rematch to happen later in the year. And that's part of the reason why I'm kind of knocking it, but at least we get to know going into the season, the top 2 teams in the SEC, at least we know that they're going to face each other to midway through the year. And like, let's be real here. Texas, they get Red River the previous week they played Georgia. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like, I don't mean to like repeat myself, but that's incredible. That's so exciting to think about. And will Georgia be able to pull it off? I mean, we are talking about now 2 away games that they have to play that are going to be one of the most difficult ones all season. Did I also forget to mention, like I did at the beginning of the video, that they have to play at Clemson too? Are you kidding me? Now, I will be biased in this because I will be at this game. But the number 2 best game in all of the SEC for the conference only, not mentioning non-conference here, is going to be Texas at Texas A&M. the rebirth of the Lone Star Showdown. Are you kidding me? I am just so excited for this game. You don't even understand. I think this is going to be one of the best games all year, one of the most charged environments all year. I don't really need to explain myself here. When I look at rankings of the best rivalries in all of college football, this one has fallen off of lists just because it hasn't happened. But these two programs hate each other. Trust me, coming from someone that lives in Texas, these two programs hate each other. I get it. Texas and Oklahoma, that's the premier rivalry for Texas, but do not sleep on this one. I promise you. I still have PTSD of Justin Tucker. At every opportunity, like you can call it big brother, little brother, I don't really care. This is going to be one of the best games all year, and it gets to happen November 30th, as it always should have been. This game should have been happening for years, but I digress. I hate the Longhorn Network because of it, and I forever will hate Texas. I cannot wait. Georgia at Alabama is going to be the best conference game all year. Point blank period. If you wanted to say Georgia at Texas, I'm not mad at you. But I think everyone's been wanting to see this happen. Georgia goes into Bryant-Denny. Are you kidding me? Jalen Milroe, does he go and beat Georgia again like he did at the SEC title? I am so excited for this game. Like, listen, when we get to these top games, I don't really need to debrief you on why they're incredible. I'm just kind of pointing out, hey, get excited. These are happening. Like, oh my gosh, I am just cannot wait for this game to happen. If you want to know, it's happening actually pretty early into the year, September 28th, right before October rolls around. And just think of all the games that we've talked about mentioning these two teams leading up to that point. This is what is going to kick off their year of, hey, we have to go undefeated for the rest of the year. If we lose this game, we can't lose to Texas. We can't lose to Ole Miss or Alabama. We can't lose to Tennessee. Like, we can't lose to LSU. And by the way, think about that. I left out Alabama versus LSU. I believe they play this year. Yes, they do. I just checked. November 9th, they play each other. Just think about that matchup's not even on the board, mainly because I don't really know what LSU is going to be. But just, you'll see the full list on your screen. This is like my top 8. And that's not to say any other game can be incredible. Notice I didn't even mention Missouri and Texas A&M or any of the Florida games. Like, Auburn could end up having an incredible game. We are slated, we are spoiled for an incredible year of conference football here at the SEC. And if you are here, once again, would like to say thank you so much for taking the time to watch. Let me know if you want me to start my Big Ten rankings, my Big Ten tier list, the non-conference videos. We got so much slated for the offseason. I'm not going to be stopping pushing out conference football, college football, NFL content. It's not going away. We even have the NFL draft coming out. I don't care what people say. We are not taking an off season over here at Rush the Field. So once again, thank you so much for watching and have a fantastic day.